ABC 36 News at Noon is brought to you by Trackside Restaurant and Bourbon Bar.
Hey, welcome back, friends. Abandoned Kentucky is a book that showcases the artistic photography done by several photographers in here, and it contains over 130 pictures capturing the deserted and uninhabited spots that are scattered across Kentucky. And boy, are these powerful images.
It really is. We love this book. And here with us today to talk about the book is the author Sherman Cahal. Thank you so much for being here, Sherman.
Thank you.
So obviously there were other partners with you on this book. First of all, what really inspired you to want to photograph abandoned buildings and places? Because it's really, visually, it's just breathtaking.
Yeah, so the places that we photographed may not be here tomorrow, so that really was the original inspiration for it.
Yeah.
And I came across this book by J. Winston Coleman, who I think was a local newspaper writer, wrote a lot of great books. Back in 1967, he wrote a book called Historic Kentucky, photographing and documenting these historic antebellum residences and churches, and so many of those places are gone. So when I came across that book, it really inspired me to get out and see all 120 counties in the Commonwealth, to see what I could find and uncover, and at least write something or photograph something so that at least there's a record of it existing.
And boy, did you find gold here. This is a treasured book for me. I'll share with you, Sherman, when we got this book here at the station, I immediately wrote my name in it, and I did that for two reasons. One, I like to think of, our kids, discovering this, years from now and going, this meant something to Dad, but also I didn't want anyone else to have it.
Taking claim, including his wife.
I wanted this to be mine. So tell me a little bit about the journey in some of these too, because some of these are buildings that have been repurposed over the decades, and then some of them just look like they just literally walked out of the place. Like the furnishings are still there. The Shell sign, gas station sign is still hanging there.
Yeah, and so many of these places, I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years. In so many of these places, you'll walk in and it's just like they've picked up and left.
Yes.
You'll go into these bourbon distilleries. Like years ago, I went into Old Taylor and Old Crow distilleries down there on Glens Creek near Frankfort.
Right.
And of course, Old Taylor is now Castle and Key.
Yes.
And Old Crow is now Glens Creek Distillery. But all the production equipment was still inside, all of the vats and tanks.
Yes.
You could have just, I mean, with some work, you could have just started it right back up, and that's essentially what they did down there, at least in Castle and Key. All that equipment was mostly reused and repurposed. And it's just fascinating. You could go in some of these, abandoned houses, and it's just like people just walked out and left everything behind. It makes you wonder what the story was.
Yeah, yes, I always wonder that.
So many different things for different people, though. For folks that enjoy architecture, like you said, this is capturing perhaps the last of this type of architecture before it's gone forever. History fans certainly appreciate this book. But also just social scientists, I think, can get something out of this, just seeing those remnants and realizing how people might have lived in the 20s or 30s. All of that is captured in your photography, and I gotta ask, your use of light is incredible. How long does it take to capture some of these images? I mean, are you waiting for hours for just the right moment, just the right light?
Sometimes, so I'll bring in a tripod, I'll bring in my camera equipment, and sometimes I'm light painting, I'm using flash. I'm probably the slowest photographer out there, but I'll sit there and wait and wait and wait for the perfect lighting to capture that one particular moment. Or and this is a recent case, I was down in eastern Kentucky photographing some old railroad tunnels. They're completely flooded out, so you're in there with waders, you're dragging your camera equipment in, and you're just setting up that perfect shot, waiting for the water to be nice and still, light painting with your flashlight, and just making sure that you get that image, because you don't know when you're going to have that opportunity to do that again.
Well, this is an adventure on top of it all.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
and your dedication is paid off. It's a beautiful book. We love it.
Sherman, where can folks get this book? Because this is something every Kentuckian should have, in my opinion.
Locally, this book is available at Joseph Beth Booksellers. We'll be down there for the Kentucky Book Festival this October, signing copies. A lot of local retailers, Barnes & Noble carries it, Castle and Key carries it. We're trying to get it out there as much as we can.
Well, we hope to move a few as well for you today. So if you see this on the shelf, you'll want it on your shelf for sure. Abandoned Kentucky. And Sherman, thanks for your artistry. You and your co-authors here. This is really something special. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.